funny. Okay, so we're live. Hello, everybody. And yes, I have returned to my normal size.
Hello.
If you hadn't seen the video, oh my God, that's so
I'm
funny.
Priestess. I look just like you. Oh, it's quite a good likeness. I was like, oh, bloody hell, look at that. Just like her. Yay. There you go.
It's probably just the hair. I got the hair
Yeah.
thing going.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone had a great week. I'm 1 week away from my haunted hotel room, so really excited about that.
Yes. Yes.
I know. And I rang them up just to confirm that everything's all good to go and they're going to validate my parking. So that was a nice
That's cool.
surprise. And they actually asked if there is any type of proof that they can have permission to use it. So
Oh, wow.
let's hope.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, this will be good advertising for them, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Why not?
I mean, let's face it, hotels these days make a mozza of, especially if they've got like a haunted room.
Oh, yeah.
So, so let's have
Oh,
a
yeah.
look at our people in our
Who we
chat
got?
room.
I
We
can't see
have,
you, chat. As you know, I cannot see you, but I'm sure if there's any interesting messages, she'll read them out to me. Hello.
I will. So we have, well, there is an interesting message there. It says, "Hi, Kaz." It's a good
Wow.
start. Well, there you go. You can't
Yep.
ask for anything more than
No,
that.
no,
So
no,
we
no.
have Liz Hall, Rachel, Jude +1,
Yeah.
um, and who else is there? Ooh, they're the only two.
What?
Oh,
What? What?
okay.
What?
So I went past somebody. Sorry.
Okay.
Where are you? Albert. I was just about to say,
Oh,
where's Albert?
there he is.
So we've got Albert
There he is.
and Liz gets excited when she buys something and can't wait to use it. So,
Okay, retail therapy.
and she thinks she's mental. Okay.
Okay. Well, you must be your Patreon to me.
Yes, and speaking of patrons, I'm going to give out a hello to Ma. Okay, this is weird. My phone is singing. Um,
Your phone
so we have
singing.
Sharra Artz, Janise, Ellen, Terbutt, Rachel, Jude, Whispers from Heaven, and Kimmie Blackshaw and Surfer Rosa. They're my
Thank you,
patrons. So
Patreons.
big shout out to them. And
Yeah.
so tonight's topic is going to
What is
be
it?
on guardian angels and, of course, how to sense their presence. Now,
Okay.
firstly, I should ask, have you had any type of experiences where
Never.
you
I
have
don't.
your name called?
No, I mean, in terms of going in, I'm going to save you at the last minute. I have had one time I was viciously depressed. I was going through hell because I had not discovered the medicine that keeps me alive now, and I was going through huge withdrawal. And I had a Ford Sierra, and I was just in a really destructive place. Now, I was driving at like 100 mile an hour or something ridiculous down this lane, and I kid you not, there was dry, sunny, and then there was snow. It was like a line, the clouds, were snowing at one part, and there was a little jump. As the car hit the jump, and I hit the sort of snowy area where the snow had just started, weirdly enough, the back end came out because it's a rear-wheel drive car. So I was now going sideways at like 100 mile an hour, and I thought, this is it.
Mm.
I'm gonna go, and I yanked the wheel into the skid, if you like, and I screamed, God, I don't know what do you do when you think you're going to die. And the
Yeah.
car, stopped really quickly. And it had drum brakes at the back, so I had no fancy brakes, just a standard old beaten up Ford Sierra, nothing special. I was pushing the car way past its limits, and the car ended up stopping perfectly in the middle of the road. I hadn't gone because my worry was if the thing gets grip, it's going to shoot off into the field, and God knows what's going to happen to me. But yeah,
Wow.
it stopped perfectly. There's a big cloud of dust and everything. Once the dust settled, I realised I'm perfectly safe. And oh my God, was that a guardian angel? Was that good driving skill? Was it fluke? It was just very strange
Mm.
how I hit the snow. There was no snow. You know, sometimes if you're lucky, you drive into the rain. Well, I drove into the snow. It was completely sunny, and then it was snowing at this like border. It was really weird. So I don't know if that was like a sign for me to just chill out. You know, stop being so
Might have
reckless and whatever.
also gone into one of those, like
It was a long time ago,
like, oh,
nearly 20 years ago
yeah.
now. Nearly 20 years ago now. But you know, it was yeah, it was an interesting experience. But you know, I could have killed somebody else, let alone myself. I could have killed somebody else quite
Mm.
easily, but I was in a very dark place at the time, and I was, whatever happens, happens. If I'm gonna crash and die, but I don't want to wake up the next morning, even, you know. So yeah, was that a guardian angel that saved my life? I don't know, but that's the only experience I can tangibly say. Possibly, I may have been looked after, to my
Mm.
knowledge. I've never
Well,
had my name called.
talking about that type of experience, I had one where I had my eldest daughter down for the weekend, and I thought, oh, we'll go in the four-wheel drive and we'll go into the mountains. And there was
Oh,
this trail, and I thought, let's go down this trail because it's actually, what was it? Something about glowworm tunnel, something, people in Sydney would know about that. Anyway, driving down this little trail thing, and the road got narrower and narrower. And I mean, here I am in a four-wheel drive. Then
yeah,
there's this part where, I mean, here we are up in the mountains. So you know that there's like a complete, there's no
yeah,
railing, it's just clean drop. And I swear that I was praying like nobody's business that we would make it okay, because any second we could have fallen over the edge of this cliff.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
when I went down this part, it basically was like a runoff of like a, you know, how can I put it? Like a stream that falls off the
yeah.
edge of the cliff kind of thing. And the water was running over the rocks and everything like that underneath the vehicle. I'm thinking,
Oh God.
God, I hope these tires,
Yeah,
they put a good grip. And we're
yeah,
driving along. We went over that, made it across, and then in this bush, complete bush, I'm thinking I've got to do a 3 point turn, but I'm not going to be able to do a 3 point turn here. I thought the
yeah,
car's going to be like torn to shreds, all the Ducos, forget it. And
yeah.
I thought, as long as we get out of there safe, because as I got to the other side, there was nowhere else to go. The road just ended. So, of course, I am one for always asking my guardian angels to help us and stuff like that. So I said, you know, guides, be with us. We are stuck. We need your help. Help us get out
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
And anyway, I began to do this 3 point or this turn. And as I was maneuvering the car, all of a sudden I felt like there was like loose gravel. And at that point, I wasn't familiar with putting the locking on. So
Oh, the diff
that the
lock.
tires,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, the lock
yeah,
kind of thing. I don't know what it's
yeah.
called.
Diff
Um,
lock. But yeah, go on.
it's for the to stop the wheels losing grip
That's right.
type of thing. Apparently.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I I thought, I wonder what this is, and I never in my life even considered pressing that button because I
yeah,
had
yeah,
no idea. And I thought maybe I should press this, and I don't know why I thought
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but I did. Pressed it, and I could actually hear, because we had the windows down and that. I could hear the rocks rolling. I could hear like
yeah,
things like bouncing and crackling under the car. I thought, oh my god, we're gone.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, started I started to do the point turn, managed to get around, and we're driving back. I had to go past that, like clip, the side of the cliff. I'm thinking, please, I'm looking directly down, out the window. There's a clean drop. I'm thinking, am I going to make it? You know, because I couldn't
Yeah.
see the other side when I was driving across because it was a passenger's side on the edge of the cliff. This time I was on the edge and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God. So I
Oh,
got across and I made it. And then I tell you what, I was never so happy to be out of there. But it
oh,
was
yeah.
incredible. It really was. It was a scary event. But I really believe that we had our guardian angels with us. I mean, my little one at the time was only probably about 4 or 5. So, you
Yeah.
know, all these things going through your head, it's one thing if it's only
Yeah.
you in
Yeah.
the vehicle, but when it's
Yeah.
other people as well, oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's one, you know, that is definitely a lot of times when people have actually, you know, you've fallen asleep at the wheel, you've heard the scenario about feeling like someone hit you on the shoulder and
Yeah.
waking you up. If you've ever had that, that's certainly a experience of a guardian angel or guide
It's
being around you.
camera pickups. I mean, this is America's was. I mean, it's quite a famous one. Something like that about this. But there's a guy who was knocked out on the road, and an angel literally lifts him up and moves him out the way. You know, he's sort of dragged
Mm.
out the way, kind of thing. You know, it's quite a viral capture, and it was done. You know, before
Oh,
the age of computers.
that's actually a
Yeah, it wasn't
game.
computerized. This was done in the 80s or late 70s. This capture, but he said, you know, at the time, like he said, I could feel myself being sort of you know, hoisted up and lifted, and obviously my legs just carried on running, you know, out the way because you sort of go on autopilot, you know.
Mm.
But I think it's involved in a car crash. It knocked him out, but he had to be moved because there was a car coming or something. But it's a famous, quite a famous capture, you know. But I say it was before the days of computers and YouTube. It was the late 80s, I think, something like that, or late 70s. I can't quite remember. You know, so there's no hokey pokey business going on. It's a genuine capture, but it's quite fascinating, you know.
Okay, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that. I'll have to have a look.
it's been.
Rachel says that she felt that someone was watching over her after a rollover accident. She was a passenger in a two-seater.
Yeah,
And so, yep, I absolutely believe that a lot of times you've got those guardians, especially when you're driving. Um,
yeah,
when you think about, you know, you've heard the old grandma who's been able to actually lift a vehicle off a
yeah.
child.
Kind of. Yeah, yeah,
The the videos where you see literally a person being run over, head and all, under the tire of a vehicle, and they
yeah,
get up and walk away. Um,
yeah.
that that's not superhuman bones and a lot of milk being drunk. That's actually protection. That really is, you know, a higher power. Some people say, oh, it's the vehicle being light, but you know, you think about how easy the brain or the skull could crack, especially a
Yeah,
child. You know, I
yeah,
mean, our
yeah.
femur is said to be like cement, but you know, the head, oh,
No,
it's unbelievable. I watched
yeah,
this
yeah,
video today, and it showed a lot of, you know, people who survived the incredible. Um, so many. There was this baby that literally dropped 20 meters onto concrete and got up
yeah,
and walked away. A baby, and
yeah.
it was captured
Really.
by a shop footage. Like the camera was outside, you know, to watch for burglars and everything like that, walking up
Yeah,
and
yeah.
down. There's like a laneway, and you see this all of a sudden out of the blue, this baby hit the concrete, and you're thinking, oh
Oh,
my God, it was like the impact was that hard, the nappy came off.
oh, no
um,
way.
I know, a, a little baby, and you think,
Yeah.
my God, that, and the way that it landed, it went like legs down first, then on its hands,
Oh,
and
yeah.
how those bones didn't pop out, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's really
There was
scary.
actually in the newspaper there was a case. This is yesterday actually. I was reading it because I obviously deliver newspapers as part of my job. There was a story of a husband who tried to sabotage his wife because he was cheating on her but wanted to kill her. And
Mm.
they're in the military, so they do skydiving, things like that. He cut her parachute, he rigged her gas oven to blow, things like that. Well, the
Wow.
parachute failed on her, and she fell 4,000 feet, but she lived. I don't know if she's disabled or anything like that. I don't know what the consequences of it. Maybe she's absolutely fine. But to fall 4,000 feet, I mean, the guy's going to prison. Fucking right. You don't kill people off,
Mm,
even if you are a cheater, you divorce. But yeah, it's a true story. It's in the Sun newspaper and any other bloody newspaper in this. I think it's in this country. The story's held. But yeah,
mm.
4,000 feet she got and she survived. Whereas most people can't fall 80 feet, 60 feet, let
Exactly.
alone
Well, it's even like
4,000
when they say
feet.
a person who's drunk, when they actually go falling, their body is so limp or whatever that
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
tension. So I
yeah,
mean, when you're fully aware and you're falling at that type of height,
yeah.
you can imagine everything going through your mind. Sometimes you
Oh,
think,
oh.
is it, that they had
Well,
given up?
imagine pulling the cord and oh, it's failed. Okay, I got my back on. Oh, that's failed. Oh shit! The panic and terror as the ground's
Yeah,
coming up towards you. You think, oh, this is it.
awful.
You know, and then to find your husband
Mm,
is the one that set it up. Yeah. So she's going for a lot, but she lived that 4,000 foot fall. She survived. It's insane.
incredible.
Freaking insane.
Well, another way that our guardian angels, if you want to call them that, I prefer to call them guides because technically that's what they are. They guide us, they watch over us.
Yeah.
They can be the voices we hear calling our name. Like you might be doing something and all of a sudden your mind is elsewhere. And usually when you're hearing them, like when they're first getting your attention, you might be you know, ignoring everything that's going on around you. You might be preoccupied, you might be washing up. And then all of a
Like mowing
sudden,
the lawn. It might be mowing the
yeah,
lawn.
or you're
Yes.
mowing the lawn.
Mowing
That's
the
a
lawn,
bit
yeah.
scary.
Yeah, go on.
Don't, oh my God, that cord. I'm thinking, oh God, it's sort of like,
So
it's
it's,
all
there's
trying
a
to be
circuit break
captured.
on the plug. There's a circuit break. Basically, when you plug, I mean, not to get off subject too much, we'll come back to what you're saying, but just for those at ease with the fucking lawnmower and the cord, on the plug, you put a thing in front of the plug called a circuit breaker, and then you put your lawnmower in. So if you do cut the cord, it like shuts the
It'll come
power
back
off. It's like a little plastic thing with a little uh, button on it, and yeah, you put that in before you plug it in. So it's like a
on.
safety
Okay.
thing. So yes, I was using one of those. Okay, so don't worry. And the blades. So you said don't put your hands in the blades. It's got a dead man switch on it. You can't operate the mower without holding like three buttons at once. If that makes sense. So if you fall
Okay.
over, it stops. So when the thing's upside down, it can't work because you've got to press these buttons in order and also hold on to them. If you let go, they stop. So don't worry,
Oh,
folks. I'm not a complete
good.
idiot. I
Yeah.
look like
All
one.
I'm thinking is, oh my God, and your missus is laughing her head off. I'm thinking, how could you laugh? I'd be freaking out.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
fell
obviously
over. I had a bad fall in a car park like once, like a couple of years ago. All she could do was laugh at me, like to help me out. Like, I've had a bad fall, but I did fall in such a stupid way. It's just like she's
well,
laughing at me.
definitely got an infectious laugh because it was when she was laughing, I couldn't stop laughing. And the lines, yeah, they were a little bit crooked, just a little bit.
Yeah, I find my petrol mirror come out a bit better, but it kind of died the petrol mirror. But yeah, go back to what you were saying anyway, because I knew it was going to come interesting. What was it you
Well,
said?
let's go through. Liz says after her father passed, she was reading books on how to contact angels. And one night she was woken by the most beautiful voice that she had ever heard in her life. And it was so loud and clear. So she
Loud.
said that he said,
So
Elizabeth,
loud.
do not
Sorry,
be
interrupt.
afraid. I mean,
Open air, speak loud. Someone else who's experienced, it's loud. Good, good. I'm
yes.
not the only one that's said that. Go on, carry on.
So she's sort of like typing here and there. I think there's only so much you can type, and then
Yes,
I don't know what goes on the feed.
those are the characters, but go on,
But
carry on.
yes, they often will call your voice, call your voice, call your
Yeah,
name, and
yeah.
it it can be. Then he started squealing like Daryl Hannah on Splash.
Who?
I think it was angel language. I don't think they scream.
Angel
Um,
language.
I've never encountered them screaming. but
Well,
maybe there was something for it. I don't know.
yeah.
I wasn't there, so I don't know about that. But um, yeah, with the actual guides, they will often you'll find that with if you ever saw a guide, well, I've seen Suella, and it's like one part of her face is female and the other part is male, but there's like two faces. It's like two full faces, if that makes
That's the
sense to
whole
you.
Ian Ilana
So it's
thing.
one,
You know, we are many but
yeah,
one sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, but it's actually like male and a female face. On I've actually taken a photo of her, but there's one photo where she's side on and you can only see the female
Yeah.
expression,
Uh,
and
uh,
she's got like the shawl over her head type of thing. And my daughter
yeah.
actually took the photo of her, which was, you know, obviously it was a surprise to her because she was
Like,
standing on my bed and then took a photo at the mirror for some reason. And there is this, looking at me. It's because I was lying down. My daughter, you know what kids are like, they like to jump on your bed.
yeah.
She took the photo, you can see her looking at me. And then the second photo she took, she actually turned and looked directly at my daughter.
Yeah.
And so you've got like one position and then like this, like looking at her. So that was quite interesting. So, yes, dreams also. I've made little references so that I can go through them to keep on track, type
Yeah.
of thing.
Good. Good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, dreams are often a way that they can come through. You can have them, you know, um, appear in a dream, or they just appear like a stranger in the dream. If you've ever had a dream where you are suddenly in the presence of a person, you have no idea who they are, but you
Yeah.
feel
Plenty.
comfortable with them, then that's pretty much a guardian angel or a guide. And they actually do let you know that they're watching over you in
Uh huh.
those particular circumstances. Sometimes you'll see the colored orbs, but orbs generally are spirit energy
Yeah.
anyway. The color isn't necessarily the mood they're in, as has
Yeah.
been explained in so many
Yeah.
cases, especially with
Yeah.
Chris. It's
Yeah.
the energy in
Moving.
the environment that they're using to manifest. And you'll usually find that that energy is not just guardian angels but also spirit. So you'll see
Yeah.
often colored orbs. In particular, with most guardian angels, you get a blue orb, and this is irrelevant of where they are. So that's one thing that I'll mention there. Um, so you might even find like you could see something right in front of you appear and manifest an orb, and
Yeah.
that actually is then coming close. You might even notice at times it looks like I don't know if you remember that movie. Trying to think of the name of it. It's got Sylvester Stallone in it and Predator, I think it is. You know that
Okay.
alien thing that
Yeah.
goes invisible and you can see it
Yeah. Yeah.
still, but it's like the air moving
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yep.
Well, if you
Mm.
ever notice a shape or some type of movement in the, like either off to the side, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a shadow, but it's like you notice something moving, um,
Yeah. So
then
I can
you'll
think
probably
of cool many times in past instances, but yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
so that
Hmm.
would be a case of either spirit or the guides, guides or a guardian angel. Another thing is that with the guardian angels, they don't have wings. A lot of the angels don't have wings. They are
Okay.
usually just, you know,
I wonder where
very
that sort of imagination come from, because obviously in the Bible and all the rest of it, they got feathered wings. I wonder where it come from.
yeah. Well, see, in the old days, as they would appear, they would see like spirit. I'll give you an example. You know how spirit can go from the ground up in
Yeah.
manifesting.
Yeah.
What I
Yeah.
have noticed with Suella is she comes down. sort of like, from the ceiling area.
Okay.
She
Mm.
manifests from that direction. So when I can only assume that's what the other ones do, because I can't see anyone else's guide except my own. So if a
Yeah,
person has naturally seen them descend from, like the roof or from, the sky, they would naturally assume they've got wings, because they're descending. If they're coming up
I
from the
see.
ground, then,
Yeah, I'm with.
well, that's what that's
Yeah, yeah,
a way of, I'm only surmising. Maybe
yeah.
back in those days, were
Sure,
ones that they saw with wings,
sure, sure.
but from
Mm.
what my experience has been, I've never seen them with wings.
Yeah.
Um, so, yep. Another thing is, if you've ever noticed like a sudden sweet kind of smell, um, it's like either a perfume or, a smell of what it smells like lollies or some type of scent. It's very sweet.
Okay.
They give off these types of scents, and you'll notice that, you know, you'll be wondering, has someone, made some chocolate, or has someone got something um, that they've been cooking, like sweet, toffee apple, that kind of thing. It can actually be a very, um, oh God, how can I explain it? But it's like a sweet scent, like you are
Yeah.
smelling something very, very sweet. Um, so you'd know it if you had actually ever smelt it. So there's one
Yeah.
other thing, but you can't explain it. It's not a sickly sweet smell. It's a pleasant smell. So
Okay.
um, so that's another indicator. Um, Another one is, we've got the signs around us, like feathers. We find
Yeah.
feathers. We find
I've went for a state
ones
of
that,
that in the old house, always finding feathers in the most randomest of places. I went for a spate and it stopped now completely. And I summarise, maybe it's breeding season or something, but it was getting a bit ridiculous after a while. Where are these feathers coming from? Well, they're all in my little oh, we call it ultra, I suppose we could call it, for whatever. But I went for a spate of getting so many of them and coming in everywhere I'd walk. There was a feather, and it was always in my track. It wasn't like it was on the side; it was in my way of going, if that makes sense. For a good while, and I don't know what that was about. But yeah, yeah, I know what you're about.
see, they used to think that the feathers were ones that dropped off the angel's wings. That was the
Mhm.
old,
Yeah.
thing that they used to say. But
Mhm.
it's not necessarily the guardian angels that you'll find feathers being left from. Not, all right, you've got birds as well that drop feathers. So that's why I mentioned, go
Yeah.
back to last week's episode of not everything is paranormal.
Yeah.
However, with with feathers, usually they're signs from loved ones, ones that are indicative of, that they're around you, because
Yeah.
most people will associate that with a loved one. If they're
Yeah.
thinking of a loved one, then they'll come across either a shiny pebble or, the feathers, that type of thing.
Shiny pebble, eh?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, shiny pebbles and shells and stuff like that. You'll be drawn to. It's sort of like it catches your eye. Um,
Um,
so the white feathers basically are indicative of angels, but my interpretation is more, from experience of being loved ones nearby.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
babies, babies have a tendency to notice these guardian angels
Yeah.
around us. The
Yeah.
only ones who are
We.
to see yours as well as
Yeah.
their own are babies.
Well, yeah. Look at the first words the daughter was saying. Harry, who Harry is. Obviously, we got a spirit Harry that said lied to us about the cat being dead. But what I'm trying to say is, everything was Harry this, Harry that, and then you got the QEVP that we caught. So she was
Yeah,
seeing things. Well, we can't see
there,
these things, but she was. She was seeing them, but she's got no memory of it. That's what's interesting. As the time's gone, she's got no memory
well, as they
of it
begin to
whatsoever.
grow, there are some
Mm.
kids who maintain that, like yours
Yeah.
truly, and there are some who don't.
Yeah.
But all children have a capability stuck in my words, a capability of being able to see not only their guides but also yours
Yeah.
and
Okay.
other spirit beings. A lot of times, if they're looking up towards a corner of a room
Mhm.
or above a doorway, that's where
Yeah.
they will be noticing the spirit. And
Zone out
sometimes
and
it's because, yeah,
just sit
sometimes
there
it's
and zone
because
out.
they're seeing the energy orb, which is the first thing to grab their attention. So that spark
Yeah.
of energy. Um, so pets also have an ability of seeing them, and
The dog. Yeah.
pets can
Seen
see.
the seen the dogs plenty of times. Look at and go nuts over like nothing. You know, you can't see anything, but the
And
dog is going crazy.
yep, and cats as well. You'll notice a cat probably looking at something or watching something, and
Mm.
like with Mozart, he does the full walk of the house basically. Every time he starts walking across the floor, it sounds like a chorus line because of his
Yeah. Okay.
nails. Um, Sometimes the pareidolia, such as, you've got clouds. This is a common thing I've been asked. Will you see guardian angels in clouds? I don't believe so. I think that's pareidolia. Um,
Mhm.
However, it depends if they want to show themselves to you. It
Yeah.
might be something you'll see, but no one else can. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something to pay attention to. If you show someone something and say, I don't see that, I don't see what you're seeing, it may be that it's only meant for you. It's
Yeah.
not meant for someone else to see.
The Paradise thing's such a
So,
hard line to draw on. It really, really is. I mean, Liz, not so long ago, fair play to her, she spent a load of time. I did an experiment with the old black and white TV. So I've got quite a few skeptics that look at my channel now, and they ask me to do things like, cut the air off on the spirit box or just use white noise. They want to believe, but they really want the concrete because they're skeptics and us and stuff. But it's cool that they got an interest, like Suit Yourself and a few others. So I did this experiment with the black and white TV where we get no analog signal in the UK whatsoever, and I've got no aerial even attached to it. But we were getting things coming through on this white noise, and Liz went through it frame by frame, and as she said, look, could be pareidolia, could be something. You decide. But she went over it and had a look, and yeah, there are some quite convincing pictures of, I could say faces or entities that look. I mean, others do look. Yeah, you could just blast it off as pareidolia, but there does look like there's attempts of manipulation or manifestation going on in these pictures. So thank you, Liz, for going over them. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah.
that's good.
Mm.
So, yeah, I did have actually a look at those, but I didn't get to comment. Um,
So
Another
they
way,
probably signed out nothing, but they look like an attempt. Certainly at the time of live streams, like you could, there was either I had some massive interference somewhere, or something was really trying because, like I say, we don't have a log signal. There's not even a bloody aerial plugged into the TV anyway. So it would have to be very, very strong to manipulate the TV in that way. So, and it's only on one channel. It wasn't moving, I wasn't switching or whatever. I did at the start, but the skeptics said, no, no, keep it on one thing. If they're gonna do it, they'll do it here. And interesting experiment. So we'll
but
do it again
but
sometime.
that's another thing too. I mean, when it comes to them trying to manifest, you could actually say to them, "Okay, on the count of three, I would
Mm.
like, if you want to appear, could you please appear on the count of three?" So you'll
Yeah,
give them an
yeah,
opportunity of in that time, that space of after 3 seconds
yeah,
to manifest. And then if they want to, they'll do it in that time. But they know they've got an opportunity.
yeah, yeah,
I actually had one where I could see this spirit when I was at a client's place, and they were apparently giving the client a bit of grief, like waking them up in the middle of the night, that type of thing. First of all, I
yeah,
went in there like, okay, we've got someone who is, thinking they've got a haunting. It may just be something
yeah.
that they're having
Creepiness.
trouble sleeping. So I go over
Yeah,
there, and of course, there's a spirit there, but it wasn't anything sinister. And I said, "Come and show yourself." And I could see it. And I said, "Come forward, like I want you to move." And I said, all right, well, we'll play it your way. And I said,
yeah,
I'll count to three because it was a playful spirit. And
yeah.
I saw it. The funny thing is, I saw it before the iPhone picked it up. And it's on my list with
Yeah, yeah,
the video on my channel, so you can actually see. But it was before the iPhone picked it up that I acknowledged it. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd. Why
yeah,
did
yeah,
it take, that split second before it showed?
yeah.
So another thing, running numbers.
Running
How many
numbers.
times have you suddenly looked at the clock and it's been 11:11?
Yeah, my mate wants to talk about this. Hi man, he's going for a spate 11-11 or 1-2-3-4. Oh yeah, he's really interested in something because he's getting it a hell of a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yes,
that's
yes,
a sign. That is a sign of having your guardian angels around you. If you're seeing them constantly though, then
yeah,
what this
got
tells
real
you is,
power.
well, you've got to be on guard, because if you're seeing them more than, one day at a time,
Yeah,
then it's important that, you realize that what can be happening here is they're trying to warn you about somebody or something. If you're about
okay,
to go somewhere, take extra precaution. Don't go taking risks at that time. Don't
yeah,
go investing in things. Whatever it is,
yeah,
there is a reason for it. So
yeah,
normally, it will usually show you in one day. You'll find a lot of these numbers. Like every time you look at the clock, it's either 333 or two two
yeah.
two, or that type of thing.
2-3-4,
So
yeah.
yeah, but mainly in the course of the same duplicated number, like eleven
Okay,
eleven. So you've got
right,
more ones, type of thing.
yeah,
Um, so if you are noticing the clock at that particular time and you're seeing these numbers that are all identical, the mirror image of each other, then that's usually a sign that your angels are around. They will be the ones influencing you to look at the clock or on your phone at that time. And they will bring that to your attention, of letting you know they're there, that they're with you. And if you are having any issues or problems in your life and you see that, the best thing to do in those angel hours is to give thanks, to, give thanks for something that has recently happened good in your life. Also, if you're wanting to know that whether they're around, ask them to draw your attention to the clock on those times. And
mm,
if you do see that, then you know they're there. So you just give thanks to them. Sometimes they won't do that for you, they'll
yeah,
show you other stuff. So even when it comes to money, you might be walking along the street and you find money. Just be careful, because I had an incident when I was a young woman in my early 20s. And I used to work for a company called Warman International. And we did the slurry pumping for, what was it? No, not the slurry pumping, the monorail for Sydney.
monorail.
And then they went on to do the slurry pumping later on. So the slurry pumping was
Okay,
for the Sydney Harbour Tunnel. But anyway, I was the telex operator. This is taking you back.
yeah,
And at that time, walking to work from, I can't remember the place, Chatswood, I think it was. I'm walking up this hill to go to work, and I used to wear like nice little suits and, a little mini skirt type of thing, but, decent, not
yeah,
like right up high.
yeah, no,
And the seam stockings and, and every time I got to a certain spot, there would be a $20 note or a $50 note. I thought, goodness me, someone's dropping money.
yeah, right,
Anyway, of course, I would kneel down, pick it up, put it in my purse. I mean, it's in the
yeah.
street, so it's not as though
It's
you've
got
got my
somebody's name
name on
on
it.
it. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Anyway, I would go off to work the next day. There would be more money. I'm thinking, wow, what a lucky week I'm having.
yeah,
And then a person who worked with me, they they pulled up beside me. They actually saw, and they said, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but there's this guy who was running out before you get to that part and putting money down and running back into his house. And I went, really?
What?
Yeah,
Why?
bit strange.
Why?
Because he wanted to see me bend down.
Oh, I see. I'm so innocent. I see. I would.
Yeah, now you've got
Oh,
so
okay.
it was yeah. Well, he paid for it, but he didn't see
Yeah,
anything because
yeah,
I'm not the one to like bend down like without bending my knees.
yeah.
I was a lady. I'm still a lady, but that was yeah. But if you find money outside of circumstances like that, it's
Ah,
pretty much your guardian angels. Not that they're deviates, by the way. They're not, wanting you
yeah,
to
yeah.
bend over. So yes, they they will attempt to get your attention one way or another. You might
Brilliant.
also experience a change in the temperature. Now, there can be times where, as women know, especially at my age, you go through hot flushes, menopause
Yeah.
and what have you. But you could be
Uh-huh.
in a very, very cool room. It may be even a cold winter's day, and all of a sudden, you might be, you don't have the heater on, but you feel as though something is warm around you. Because normally, with angels and guardian angels, you'll get this warm kind of feeling. When they
It's the opposite of
say,
a cold. Opposite of a cold spot's then from not so nice spirits. We had plenty of cold, and rooms used to go cold in the old house, instantly. Not because it's damp, but but like a spot, it's almost like air that would be moving.
yeah,
I can't really
like a
describe
pocket of
it,
air
but
that's cold. Well, this is the
yeah, yeah,
same, but the opposite. It's a pocket of
yeah,
air that's warm, and it can envelop you. You might all of a sudden feel as though your cheeks are getting hot for no reason, and your cheeks here on the face, by the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
I thought
brilliant.
I'd clarify this purely for Order's benefit, because we know what he's like. So if you have actually had these experiences, then it's more than likely a guardian angel around you. And they're trying to get your attention, like, hi, I'm here. Just letting you know I'm with you, that type of thing. You might be asleep and feel like someone's poking you, like,
Okay.
and no one else is in the room with you. You might suddenly feel like someone's poking you on the belly, or on the shoulder, that type of thing, or even on your face. You might feel like someone's touching you, and
I
you open your
used to
eyes and
at my dad's house. I used to feel breathing on my face quite a lot. Yeah, like someone's breathing. And at the time, I remember I wasn't into ghosts and stuff. I didn't believe in any of that. But I weirdly said, "I know you're there," and it stopped. But a fair few nights or so, I feel light breathing as I'm asleep. Head up, on my back. I feel breathing on my face, and I'd say, I know you're there, and then it would stop, like, but if I didn't say I know you're there, it'd carry on for a bit. I was like, what the fuck is that about? But I didn't
yeah.
believe in ghosts or the dead or anything at that time. Yeah, I'd
Well,
still say,
no, you
I know
you
you're
had the
there.
experience well before meeting your partner. So
Yeah, this is before I met her, but, like I said, I didn't believe in any of that, but I still said, I know you're there, like I'm talking to something or entity. But I knew it wasn't a draft. It was, someone breathes in, breathes out. It was a gust of slight wind, in the pattern of breathing. Like, okay, I'm being breathed on. Something is on me or above, slightly above me. And it didn't happen once or twice. This happened for quite, over and over again over a period of a year or so, maybe. But at first I ignored it, but after a while I was like, okay, I'd say, I know you're there, and it would stop. And then I'd do like weird little tests each time because I knew it, I didn't know it was going to come up, but I'd think, right, next time this happens, what am I going to do? How long will I wait? And I wait a little bit, then say, I know you're there, and it would stop. And it's just really bizarre. But that was my first experience, if you like, before meeting my wife. But even then, like I said, I wouldn't have admitted that, oh, yeah, that was a ghost or an entity or whatever. But just to say, I know you're there is almost an acknowledgement of aware of these entities, things, whatever you want to call them, as a
mm,
person. the dead skeptic atheist, don't believe in God, don't believe in none of that, Yeah, it's
Mm,
very, very strange, but I'll never forget the sensation anyway, that's for sure.
yeah. So you've obviously had the experience, and when you think about with the angels and guides and so on, they will always give you different signs. They'll give you, sometimes you might even feel lightheaded, or like all of a sudden, and this is not like just getting up, but it's similar
Okay.
to that kind of experience. You know, when you suddenly stand up
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
get that
yeah.
woozy kind of feeling, that
Yes.
is also a way that, spirits will, and especially guardian angels, will be right right in front of you when this happens.
Yeah.
So those types of things, pay attention to, make note of these occasions, especially as I mentioned, like I've given a quite a few different scenarios. The sudden change in temperature and so on, the smells, the signs around us. Um, there's also like a funny odor that also accompanies the change in the temperature. It's very possible they're right at your side when this happens.
Okay.
So you'll get that, and it's not a foul type of smell, it's a pleasant smell. Sometimes when these temperature changes actually occur, um, they can be strange. It's
Yeah.
like a very strange, but it's an obvious sign of
Right.
that. Another one is muffled voices. So um, if you're on your own, and see, even if you're in your home on your own. Okay, I'm just like glancing over at the little chat room. Um, I'm going to give a shout out in a moment. Um, if you're on your own in the home and all of a sudden you get a distinguishable kind of mumbling or muffled type of chatter going on,
Yes.
this is
Yeah. Go
often, yep, this is often the guides and the angels. And sometimes what they're actually doing is discussing ways in which to help you. Um, so if you ever notice like a muffling sound of people
on. Yeah.
around you, but you can't
Read that.
hear what they're saying, start up a
Yes.
recorder,
Yeah.
put a
Yeah.
recorder on, and you'll actually be able to then um, pick up that sound. So that's another one. And okay, so the obvious other way that you can tell when your guides are around, and angels, is basically when you don't feel like you're alone. You know, there's no shadow of a doubt that someone's with you, and it's
Right.
just a feeling. Either you're feeling like you're being watched, or you feel as though there is somebody who is right there with you, but you can't really pick them
Yeah.
up.
Right.
Sometimes, if you've also noticed times where you wake up and you suddenly see what looks like a white apparition, and it could be like the shape of a spider, it could be like a floating book, it could be a pen, whatever it is, it seems to be like suspended in midair. And this is actually another way that the angels and guides will tell you that they're with you. So you'll actually have what looks like, say, for example, if it's a spider, that
Right.
kind of image, looks like a ghost spider. And as you begin to focus on it, it runs up and then it basically disappears. It dissipates. It just completely vanishes before your eyes. And it's as you're watching it, it begins to change and more or less, you know, dissolve into the room itself.
Right.
And you can actually see so much as like a visible, what looks like a spider, because they actually do also appear like spiders. If you get a lot of spiders in your home,
Yes.
then often it's because you've got angels around you. And I know it sounds crazy, but I've noticed that. I mean, I live in a country where we've got the most
Spiders.
venomous animals and creatures, but
Yeah,
if
I
you
don't
have
need.
if you've noticed a lot of spiders or a lot of bugs, that type of
Everywhere.
thing. Like, I'll give you an example. I actually live in the city and away from nature, like we've got to basically bring our own nature in our environment. But I put in ponds and I love ponds. I've got a retainer wall pond, I've got two ponds in the front yard, kidney shaped one, everything, I'm addicted to ponds. And
Yeah. Can't
in the ponds, I have frogs. And these frogs have come from nowhere. They have just, I don't know where they've come from, but like when it comes to them breeding, it sounds like a tennis match going on. It's like pop sounds, like popping noises. And then you go into the yard the next day and you'll see all these foamy mounds in the pond sitting on top of the water. And it's got like little black dots all through it. And they're
well,
the eggs. So, yeah, they're marsh frogs, apparently. So
okay.
that's another sign of, when you've got a lot of nature coming around you, and you might, you know, give an opportunity for them to be there. But I wasn't even thinking frogs when I put in the ponds. I was thinking, you know, water iris and,
Okay.
lilies and flowers and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
fish. Um,
Mhm.
and the fish are loving the eggs.
Well, yeah.
That's right. So that typical feeling of, I'm not alone is very, um, it's obvious. That's one where you'll find that also applies to when you've got spirits around you. Sometimes you'll feel this tingling in the back of your head and on the top of your head. It feels like a funny type of buzzing kind of sensation. And this is another thing with them, they come close to your energy field. And often what they're doing is they're coming up really close to you and they're affecting your aura, your energy field. So that actually then begins to give a tingly kind of sensation. You might get it in the back, you might, more than often you'll get it in your head, and it feels like,
Yeah.
feels like electrical kind of sensations running there, across your head. And a tingly is the description. It's usually around the crown, and it's a very specific feeling. Um, if you feel that on the back of your head, a tingling, or you get that sudden, like shake, like, they say it's like someone walking over your grave kind of feeling. Um,
Yes.
you shiver for nothing, and it's not a
Hmm.
cold shiver. It's just that you suddenly have this nerve thing.
Hmm.
That is usually them coming close to you, and there are a lot of people who have that a lot. And it's not a imbalance. It's actually to do with the fact that they've got the angels and spirits around them. Spirits will also give the same type of feeling. Um, Sometimes, if you're having a relationship problem, you'll find that you'll begin to have these types of sensations. Like, even at the moment, I feel it, and I get them a lot. Um, at one point, I will never forget, earlier, I went to a doctor and I said, I'm getting these, because I was on a painkiller type of thing for my arthritis. And I said, I think it's affecting me. And they said, well, we don't know why. It's all herbal. I went,
Oh,
okay. So I was sensing more. It was like it amplified my sensations that I was
yeah.
having. Every time they would come close around me, it would sort of like almost give an electrical shock to me,
Yeah.
and it was uncomfortable. And I thought maybe there's something else that I have to check up on. So they even did a CAT scan, everything, and they said everything's
Oh,
fine. There's nothing wrong.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that was, sometimes if you're having like a herbal medication or even on medication, things will be amplified and you'll
Mm.
experience all those different types of sensations. So, yes. But there's a lot of people out there, I mean, scientists and everything like that, they try to explain away everything's got a theory. And as I said, there are some things that really are explainable.
Mhm.
I mean, first of all, if you're feeling like all of a sudden there is a warm spot, you've got to question, okay, is there heat coming from anywhere? Is there a heat source?
Yeah.
Is there a hot flush that I'm having? As most people, men get them as well, apparently, hot
Yeah.
flushes. So
Yeah.
yeah, so this is where you've got to do a little bit of rationalizing, but this is where you can say to them, guides, if you're with me, so I know this is you, can you please give me this sign, or can you give me that sign? And they will do it. If you ask and they really want you to know it's them, then they'll actually do that for you.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, I'm going to go to our chat room and give a shout out to those in there. We have Rachel
Yeah.
Jude, Miss Reaction. We have Janise Terbutt, Catherine Holte. Uh, we have Austin Paranormal Research, Zara Hilton, Liz Hall, Dem
Good
Seeking
audience.
Earth Mama. Yes, we've got a lot of people in today.
Good audience.
Who else have we got? Go back, go back, go back. Trying to scroll up. We
I
have,
do wish I
I
do wish
think
I
I
had access
missed
to the
somebody. Oh,
database
we've
as
got
well.
Albert.
Yeah.
Who else is there? We have Appy Droid Development.
Uh-huh.
We have Surfer Rosa.
Cool.
Who else? I think that's about it.
That's good. That's a
For
good quite a good turnout, and they're all really, really good people that are into this in a big way as well. And they're not just thrill
absolutely.
seeking.
And if anyone is
Yeah.
actually on and you're seeing the chat room, take a moment to subscribe to some of these channels on here, because they've got some really good content. And of
Definitely.
course, order of magnitude is make sure you subscribe to him as well. Catherine Holte
Yeah.
is actually the better half of Steve Holte,
Yeah.
and they make some incredible apps, and they've actually got the live app, which if you haven't yet tried or gone and had an investment in that, I do encourage it, because they've actually got live spirit boxes for
I
particular. It's
will.
called the live
I
ghost
have
box.
actually been. I have actually been meaning to get round to you because obviously I'm really not Mr. App Man. I'm the wrong person to ask for apps. But I'm doing a series at the moment called Order's Spirit Box. I'm going through each and every spirit box probably once a week or once every 2 weeks. Not necessarily for the contact, but more what they sound like and what they do. And what I was going to do when I get to the end and run out of boxes, I was planning on using the live ghost box, Steve Holte's ghost box, and yeah, just comparison between the two, because obviously it is a ghost box, especially if they've still got the I can't remember the name of it. I call it Brutus. Is it the I can't remember the bloody name of the thing, the huge one. 12, it's completely escaped me. Why can I not think of it? Here we go. If you're looking at my screen now, Radio Shack. I can't remember the bloody name of it. Oh, it eludes me. 12-500, is it? Is it the 500? Someone put me out of misery, please. Someone put me out. Anyway, that used to be hooked up on their live ghost box. So if that's still going or not, I know they're going to put a Frank's box on it at one point. That'd be interesting. But I was just going to put on because it is a real physical ghost box. I mean, most the audience that are watching now probably know all this anyway because they've been into this in quite a big way. Which I say, great audience, Not saying there's anything wrong with amateurs that way who haven't got a clue and looking for education. But I want to try. I stick my foot in it so many times. But yeah, I just wanted to, at the end of this series, compare it to probably one of the only apps out there that uses a weird thing. It's sort of thing of apps. I think analog is really important. I don't know why, but analog seems to be the thing. When it's digital, it doesn't seem to. It has closed doors, to be able to manipulate and use. If you're going to use apps, I think we need to think outside the box, and that was one good one to think outside the box with the live stream ghost box because you are
Mm.
taking analog and using it digitally in terms of you're just streaming an analog device. Think outside the box. These word what do they call it? Bank apt apps. I think they're a dead end. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Give me the proof, and I'll certainly change my mind. But I just sort of feel, yeah, random words just being
Well,
fired out, especially for ones that are
in
coded
that,
when shuffle feature or whatever. It's not actually a shuffle at all. That's just dreadful, you know. But
well,
there's no
in the defense of that, actually, I do need to point out though that the what's it called? Bear with me for a second. The
okay.
Echo Vox
Oh yeah.
that has actual banks in it, but they're all chopped
Yeah,
up.
that was
They're not.
the thing
Um,
with the echo box is what most people didn't seem to get is the replies weren't from the phonemes themselves, more of the echo of the loop that come through, which is
exactly.
there was room that was like an analog principle in its own right there. So yeah, the echo box has word banks, of course it does, but it's not the word banks you're after. Somebody, I'm not going to say
No,
names. Some people hook up
no,
to
we
it
won't
very
say names.
heavily and rely on the phonemes without using the echo feature at all. Like, but the echo feature was the pioneering thing in it because the feedback and the loop and the manipulation. That's what you look for replies in the echo as opposed to the. Well, that's what I used it for, and how I thought, hang on, this is the closest thing I've got to contact, and the only app. But I sort of okay, there's a chance this app this could actually work, over the other ones that are out at the time. I know many have come out and I don't know what pioneering new apps are out there other than the Live Ghost Box. If there are any different apps out there that are different to word banks, please let me know. Curious to know.
Mm,
I'm not saying drop all apps by all accounts. Don't drop it, but I think we need to think very differently and out the box and incorporate analog as much as possible somehow. I think that's the important thing. And live guide over live goes. That's kind of clever. Why not just stream a ghost box? It's analog. Yeah. Clever. So, kudos.
that's so true. So
And
yeah,
maybe yeah.
they've done really well. I must say the whole ties in their development of this using actual spirit boxes live, and if they even have like when they're either changing batteries or I don't know, I'm only assuming, but you get a recording
But yeah,
saying that it's temporary, temporarily
down. Yeah.
offline or whatever
Honesty
the
is really
situation.
important. Honesty is dead important. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't start streaming
So
MP3s instead of just for the minute. Yeah, it's offline for the minute. Suck it. You have to come back
exactly. The
later. It's
answer
fucked.
actually tells
Broken.
you how many people are using it at that
Yes.
time.
Yeah, it
So
does. I did use it when it first came out. This is before I was on YouTube, actually. I actually sent, because I didn't really know who Steve Holty was at the time. I was aware he was a man that was involved in the ITC thing, a bit well known, connected to Frank Sumption in some ways. But I didn't really
mm,
know. I certainly couldn't put a face to the name. But when that app first went up, before I was on YouTube, I was commenting, and I was known for my long-winded fucking comments and blogging. But
no,
I
really,
no, I'm lying. No, I used to I sent them a picture of the Charlie thing and like, I didn't really use but I used to listen to it when I used to go on my bus and go to my appointments and shit. I didn't use it to say as a session, but I used to listen to the live ghost box using my data just in my ear while on the bus journey, like going, okay, yeah, just listening to what it would sound like and stuff, because I didn't even have a spirit box at times before I even had my SB7, so just curious, and obviously people like Mortis were about doing their things, and just so yeah, I was feeling the water. I mean, it's been Live Ghostbox has been around a long time, a lot longer than people think. It has been about a long time. So there you go.
now Zara just said that she's got a giveaway
Oh
going.
wow.
So if you put in there, Zara, what that giveaway is, I'll be happy to give a
Mm,
shout out about it.
cool.
So
Everybody likes a give, right?
absolutely, people love freebies, but
Yeah.
it's always, like you've always got to, make sure that you subscribe to these people and so on, and just
Oh
out of
yeah.
respect, you know.
Yeah.
Sarah's got a fantastic channel. She's really come since the time of knowing her. She's blossomed, and that's what I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
about seeing the proactiveness of the people who are getting right into the paranormal.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they are showing the utmost respect. And speaking of respect, I've got to do it.
Oh, I knew you.
Um,
But yeah, come on then. Oh shit. What
sorry,
have I done
I
now?
have.
What have I done?
I am absolutely appalled at Mr. Huff. And
Mm,
this is a man who started off saying that he was not going to do anything again. I mean, it's the same scenario all the time. Get a new line, for God's
yeah.
sake. He's always
I,
going on about, I've quit the paranormal, I've quit ITC, I've smashed up
oh,
my goal.
oh,
It's too much.
oh,
It's honestly,
oh,
um,
oh,
I know,
oh.
why? And
Wave my hand
then
on the air.
it's always got to be the first. And I guarantee, I haven't looked yet, but I guarantee that bloomin' what's her name? Kendra Elise, who is another Huff
Oh,
in a
oh
female
yeah,
body, um,
yeah,
she's got to be the first to contact a person who's just died. And it's appalling. I
yeah.
mean, hers sounds like R2D2 because she over filters the audio that much that it's like a whistle. It's like, and then she
Years
puts
ago,
these little
I used to
subtitles.
watch Kendra. When I was in the taxis, I used to watch Kendra years ago. Along with you two, don't get too mad at me. But obviously I didn't know who she was. But she used to use the Franks box quite a lot, and I was really intrigued with the Franks box and her replies from that. They're good. And I said to her, like, this is about a year ago, but probably just before YouTube, I started. I said, look, rather than these EVPs that I cannot make out for love nor money, I guess I'm not a medium. But do you think you could use that Frank's box again? Because I can understand the replies, and it was spooky sounding, and there's just I don't know,
Yeah.
it's something really vibey about it. I just love the sound of it, and I could tell it was from spirit or an entity that is not of this world, so to say. And
When it
no,
could
she didn't want to use it. What's she done with
telecommunicate.
that bloody box? Does she even use
Yeah.
it no more? You know.
Well, the thing
So, but I
is,
never got a reply.
I bought her boyfriend, and I don't know how I got involved with this, but um,
Yeah,
she
no,
left
you
she left her husband, and all of a
yeah,
sudden, because I knew her boyfriend, I was getting messaged by her husband, I was getting messaged by her daughter. They were devastated, absolutely devastated, that she had just taken off and deserted them.
yeah,
And all right, look, everyone has, a reason. He might have
yeah.
been a real
That's
pig.
stuff. You don't be a bad
However,
person. But yeah, I get
exactly.
it.
But leaving the daughter as well, she was
Yeah,
gutted,
I know.
absolutely gutted. So here I am,
Yeah,
pretty
I
much
did hear
giving
about that. I
some,
was like,
yeah, giving some counselling if you want, like a friendly ear to the daughter, because I have children myself, girls, and
yeah,
to think that they would be in that kind of position ever would just break my
hi.
heart. But anyway, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. I noticed that Kendra then began um, asking me questions about not about what they were saying. She wasn't even interested, but asking me to listen to some of her recordings. And then Steve, her boyfriend, was asking me to listen to their recordings before Kendra came along to see whether or not he had captured any EVPs. And
Okay.
I listened and I could hear, because he said he wanted to hear from his mother. And he said, I said, well, why don't you set up a recorder? And then if you want, I'll listen to see whether you captured anything.
Yeah.
So if I've got the time, I'll do that, So I said, okay. I listened. I could actually hear there was a voice, and I sort of like used like that clip. I did like a filter on it to enhance it more, if anything.
Yeah.
And I titled what it was saying, so that way it wasn't like listening to the whole thing. It was just that section. And then all of a sudden he's saying, oh, what program are you using? I said, well, we've actually got one designed specifically for us. However, I can get you this program, and it's called, I can't remember the name of it. Hang on. I have a copy on the system now. WavePad. Anyway,
right,
he said, all right, so I just downloaded this, and I said, look, I'll tell you what, because he was raving on that, he had actually had this competition running initially, and it was that he was giving away a spirit box. And because of this competition, it was to do with designing a logo for the page. And so I designed this logo, and he said I won.
Connecting heaven and earth.
He said I won.
Yeah.
It was called Spooky Entertainment or something. So I designed this thing. He said that I won. And I just thought, you know, out of respect, you know, because he said I've won this thing, I will buy that program for him. It's like $60 Australian.
Okay.
I mean, it's not cheap anyway. But then all of a sudden, the spirit box never happened. It never arrived. It was never a spirit box that was going to be, you know. So I basically bought him this program. And then he talked me into, you know, getting like a double registration if it was possible, because of his friend who was really. I found out this friend was Kendra, and I gave them these, like, you know, I said, oh, okay, no worries. I actually had a spare registration, and I said, I'll give that to you. I didn't want anything out of it, but, you know, the fact that they were getting all this information from me, you know, picking my brain about things, and I didn't hesitate. I mean, I should have woken up to it, but they were, they seemed genuinely interested. So, of course, when people are genuinely interested, wanting to know about how to make contact, I will give them my time, because as long as it's out of respect.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
sure.
all of a sudden, there's this video that this Steve is calling himself a medium. He can't hear spirit, you know. He can't hear spirit. He was asking me to tell him what to do and everything like that. But all of a sudden, he's the audio medium, he calls himself. He overfilters it using WavePad. Then all of a sudden, Ken got the WavePad, and she's overfiltered it. And if you listen to both their audios, it's identical.
I can't understand the fucking what they say. I'm sorry, but it's just bleep, 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 and I can't get it. I can't get it at all. I don't know how they get anything out of that, but that's just me.
Well, it is. It's definitely pareidolia. I might sound like a total bitch. I'm going to use that word. I might sound like one, but honestly, when it comes to Huff, for example, and he's saying that the best time to contact a spirit, he's saying any spirit is in 24 hours of their passing. Think of it for 1 minute. Think of it for 1 minute. If I get my spirit? If a person has just passed over, say you've just passed over, and you are suddenly, oh my God, I'm born with this intelligence I have right now, but I can't hold my loved one like I used to. I'm trying to calm them. They're upset, they're distraught, they're crying, and they're not even feeling me. When I put my arms around them, they can't even feel me. I don't know how to stop them from crying. This is some of the information that comes to me from a lot of spirits who have, you know, sought out, you know, like, how do I let them know that I'm with them? Can you tell them I'm with them? And usually people will contact my staff saying, you know, we've just lost someone close. They don't tell who, fortunately.
No.
We've just lost someone close, but we want to know if they're okay. And
Yes.
I have instructed my staff, so anyone who goes looking up the High Priestess studio online and they're thinking that I'm going to contact their loved one, I don't want you thinking that, because I can't promise you. And
No.
secondly, if you have just lost a loved one, I'm not going to attempt to interfere with their crossing process, because they may be trying to adjust just as much as you're trying to adjust.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to adjust to a new accustomed lifestyle, a new type of existence altogether. And
Yeah.
anyone who even thinks about contacting someone who has just passed away, where they're not even buried in the ground or cremated, is
Yeah.
absolutely sick and twisted in the mind, because they have
Well,
no respect for the past
it's
spirit. They have no
what's
respect
about
for the fact that just for a
it's
little bit
about
of fame in saying, oh, I was the first to contact them, that's
yeah,
all it
yeah.
is. It's not anything to do with
Yeah.
the spirit
That's
person.
it's about them.
It's
It's about
I
them,
was
not about all about
exactly.
them.
It's about the person trying to contact the deceased.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's woeful. It really is. Anyone who even supports that, you need to get your head read, because honestly, that is just the most disgusting thing ever to do. If you have any ounce of respect for the afterlife, or anyone who is trying to accommodate that type of, you know, oh, how can you even respect it? Honestly, how can you respect a person doing that? But anyway,
A lot of the audiences, when I read the comments, are like, "Oh, can you do? I don't know. Trying to think of someone who's died now. Oh, can you do Janis Joplin after? Can you, or because they're obviously fans of celebrities. Like, well, if he's done him, maybe they can do this celebrity. And I'm thinking, look, he isn't going to do your celebrity because they've been gone for many long. He wants the
exactly.
ones that are
Or
trending at
he
the
can't
moment.
find any audio on them. But the amount of people, it's heartbreaking when you read how many people are saying, can you try to contact my uncle? Can you try to contact my mother? He ignores them. He doesn't even give them the benefit of, look, I would love to, but I'm afraid I can't guarantee that. And this is another thing too. He knows that that recorder, the DR60 or whatever it is it's a fault. And I mean, seriously, it is the same voice. You listen to any video on YouTube anywhere, and it is the same voice that you're hearing. Oh, sure, look, it might have a different type of sound to it, but I believe what happens is that there's a amplification that happens inside the unit. So naturally, it begins to um, sort of like it's, I don't know whether it like filters out or it has some type of increased like seeking sound segment to it, or I don't know, the I'm not technically minded, but it just seems that it's the same scratchy kind of angry sound, and it may have different, temperaments of, when it kicks in and stuff, but it's certainly paranoia from what I believe. Now I'm going to play you something here. Let's have a look here. Bear with me for a second. Will I be surprised or won't I? I'm just going to. Oh my goodness. So we have fortunately no one yet trying to contact Hugh Hefner apart from Huff. But you've gone all quiet there, Order. You got me on hold or something. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to play you something, and this is supposed to be, where are we? Now I've got my washing machine beeping. Um, let's have a listen to this. Michael Jackson and Selena. And this is from Kendra. Now, I'm going to move this speaker or this microphone over, see if we can pick that up. Bear with me for a second. Let's see if we can hear. It's supposed to say, "Hi, I love you." Now, this is what I'm talking about being over filtered. This is Kendra or Kenda. September 25th this year. I'm in my car driving around the campus of a community college. Have equipment, will record. Fire up Underground Box app. Oh, okay. So she's using an app. So won't use that one because it's an app. But we want to listen to the, oh, here we are, Pure e.v.p. Angels. This is supposed to be Angels Speak. Pure e.v.p, direct voice, spirit messages. And she's saying the angel's concern urges me to drive carefully. So let's listen and see, because you don't have a visual of it, let's see what you think of this. And I might just add too, they used to have, what was it? Out of the air speak. And that's what they used to put on their recordings or something like that. And I said, it's called pure e.v.p. But it's not pure if you're filtering the e.v.p. So this is what came up. Here we go. During this morning session, I mentioned I see someone. Spirit knows I see artifacts of light. Some call these orbs.
Hello, I saw you. Come on through. Can you give me any information at all, please, Spirit? I do know someone is here. I just saw them. Go ahead and give your message, please.
Now, angels sounded like angels. But what it's supposed to be saying is that's the light inside us. It's what the scholars call the angels. And because I'm going out of town today, she writes, that was supposed to be drive carefully. Now listen to it again. Now, serious? That is over processed. That is not anything to do with what an e.v.p sounds like. And anyone falling for that crap, honestly. But anyway, that is what I refer to as over processed. That is not e.v.p. It's certainly not pure, because if it were pure, you wouldn't have all that whistly kind of R2D2 effect. So it looks like Riley's disappeared. Where have you gone? He has popped off the line. Hang on. We have to get him back. No. Are you Mr. Magnitude? Unless he actually said he was going and I didn't hear that. Oopsie. So we'll soon find out anyway. Yeah, so that's really over filtered. And as I mentioned, that is not, oh, my sound's low. Okay. Is that better? Is that better? Probably because it's not in front of me. Is that a bit better? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. All right. Because I either get told it's crackly and everything like that, but I actually found that by turning it down, there was an opportunity of not having, you know, so much crackling and so on. I'm not shouting. Oh my God. Okay. So I'll turn it down a bit more. You can't please everybody. So anyway, yes, in relation to Huff, firstly, yeah, I will give the fact that it did sound like Hefner, but we don't know, as Riley actually said, we don't know what was said before that. You know, it could be that he was just, you know, I don't know. He might have even whispered Hefner. We didn't see the actual recording from start to finish type of thing. But again, even with Robin Williams, it's been a while since he's been passed over, and even till this day, I won't try to contact him because I feel that that man, especially anyone who had some type of depression and that type of stuff going on in their life, they need peace and they deserve peace. But this is anybody in particular. If you have a person who is a celebrity anyway, think about what's going to be on for the first 24 to 48 hours. Even the whole week is going to be on the airwaves, on the news, on radio, television, internet. There's going to be a lot of streaming and activity talking about the passing of that person. Now, it is really sad, and given the fact that Huff claims that he had been attacked by spirits and so on, one would think that he would have the intelligence to not go there, especially after fearing for his life. All right, he's contacting, but he's not actually helping them cross over per se. And you can't anyway. You can ask the angels to come forward, and yet until we actually have spirit eyes ourselves, we don't see everything spirits see. It's like when a person, you know, like they might say to me, "Can you tell me who my guide is?" If you go up to any psychic medium and ask them to tell you who their guide is and they give you a name, you know it's all crap, because nobody can tell you who your guide is. They will only communicate with you. So there's one thing too, but you know, with Huff and this business about, you know, God, it's just, it really is, it's sad to think that this man is so craving for attention, and that's what it really is when you think about it. Huff is craving for attention. He must be, because you just don't. If you've been fearing so much of spirit attacking you, and it's to do with, you know, communicating with the other side and getting too close and so on, then it really it dumbfounds me to think that he would in one breath say to everybody and get his followers begging him to stay and so on. He's pathetic in the fact, Tara, that he knows what he's doing. That's the pathetic thing about it. He knows what he's doing and he's doing it. And he's got no regard. He's got no regard for spirit. He has no respect at all. This, you know, as I said, he's in the first, this excuse of you've got to contact them within the first 24 hours. How anyone can't see the method of madness here is beyond me, because of course there's going to be a lot to do with that discussion on that passing, and there's going to be also, if they've got any audio clips, interviews, memories that they usually put together. Sometimes TV will put together, I believe, I don't know whether they used to anyway, that put together these things. And I've actually seen them on the internet anyway, on YouTube, where they've put together some type of theme or memory, in memory of, say, with Robin Williams as an example, with Michael Jackson, they would have like a collage, if you will, of different interviews and different discussions they've given, even when it comes down to videos, video clips, that type of thing. They will do that in memory of type of thing. And I was actually listening to that Huff one the other day, and there was that mention of about the hot hair. I've got my hot hair on, or something like that, and no, partying and drinking, or something like that, something along those lines. And Chris was actually with me, and he said, "I'm sure that's an interview that was done with the paparazzi for his birthday." Now, don't quote me on that, because I didn't, I'm not into Hefner, and I don't watch any of his interviews or anything like that. But if anyone does actually have a way of finding any interviews with Hefner, and there's a discussion about partying and having a good time or something, and drinking, and you would pretty much guess that with Huff doing his little research on Hefner about, he was this and he did that, and giving dates and everything. He's done his research before even doing this particular communication. So, bye, Rach. He's done his research. So he's probably in that research come across video clips, I would assume, and video clips of interviews and so on. So if it is what Chris said, that he had a birthday bash or something, and this was something the paparazzi asked if he's having a good time, and he's responded with that, but then there was some type of interjection with other, people asking him questions, or interviewers, whatever you call them, then who's to say Huff could only use that particular audio? And when he asked him some particular question, and he answered with, oh, it was are you wearing your robe or something like that? And it's, or something of, what was it? The robe? I don't know what, I mean, if you're calling a spirit who has just passed, this is another thing, I just can't understand the logic. He's calling a spirit and he's asking him, or if he's wearing his robe or whatever. Wouldn't you be asking a spirit, if you're sincere about making contact with the afterlife, why would you be asking him things like that? Why wouldn't you be asking, what was the first thing you saw? What was it like? So many millions of people out there want to know, what is it like when, for you in particular, a man of your caliber, what is it like to, know that you were suddenly out of your body? Why didn't he ask him questions with some type of genuine, you know what I mean? You know where I'm going with this, right? Why couldn't he ask him something that thousands, millions of people want to know? What is it like when you leave your body? When you know that is the final breath you're taking? What is it like? And I've actually asked Chris, and he's told me what it was like, but there is no real method of madness, except I'm the first one to do that. I'm the first one to make contact with Hugh Hefner, and I'm making it sort of like, ooh, blasé kind of thing. Guess who visited me? Hugh Hefner. I mean, honestly, Why, of all the people in the world, would he bother to go and see an unknown, a person who wouldn't even fall in his ranks, if you want to put it that way? He would be there, if anything, trying to calm or I'm sure that the ladies that he had living with him would be all devastated, and family members and so on would be coming to terms with this loss and grieving, and yet he's got time to be with Huff. And when Kendra, or whatever her name is, had this, you know the one that played Princess Layla. I can't remember her name. Someone hit me up with the name on here. Um, her mother, Debbie Reynolds, was grieving. She actually died because of the broken heart she had for her daughter. And Kendra is saying that she was talking about her bikini when, Carrie Fisher, that's it. Um, that she was talking about her bikini and stuff like that. I mean, give me a break. This is what I mean about these people they've got to be first. That's all it is. That's their logic. That's their leverage, and they think that is what warrants them to have so many followers. I mean, I don't care if no one follows me, because I'm not going to give them a so-called interview with a spirit that just passed away. Sorry, not going to happen. Never going to happen. Um, I prefer to contact ones who, of course, have been over for many, many years. There's absolutely zero chance of there being anything coincidentally being played in a neighbor's TV that a signal could cross with my recording, if you want to put it that way, or um, signals from the internet, because we know that if you put some mic close to your computer, you'll actually pick up radio. And you don't even have to be listening to radio on your computer. It is parts of the motherboard or some type of equipment inside the computer. I've found that out for myself. And so you've got to be careful of false positives. So who's to say that with Huff's neighbours having a TV on or a radio going, or if he had a radio going in another room, that he didn't pick up on something that was, in the airwaves? And that's probably part of his logic of, oh, do it within the first 24 hours, because there's a heightened opportunity of hearing their voice, because they're going to be playing it over the radio or over the TV. And if your neighbors have the TV running and you happen to be doing a spirit communication at that time, guess what? You're going to hear from that person. They're going to seek you out of all the millions of others trying to make contact with them. And let me just say, I'm just giving you two examples out there, but I guarantee that there were others the same day haunting this poor man who is coming to terms with a new life that he's never had before. And I'm not saying that, from the experiences and communication I've even had with family on the other side, that they're not happy and excited about what this new world is all about. My father, when he said, there's a whole new world waiting for you, my heart leapt, because that's from my dad, and his words were volunteered to me. And that speaks volume. I don't believe in forcing any spirit to give me information, even my own family. And I think this is just how I am in general, because even with my husband, there was one day he asked, what does your cousin do for work? And I said, I don't know. And he said, what do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. I've never asked. And he said, why don't you ask? And I said, because it's none of my business. Unless the person volunteers that information to me, I'm not going to ask. And I've always been like that. And this is even with family. I wouldn't know, apart from my uncle, he works with the coroners and stuff like that. And he has, told some pretty scary things, about how he would like me to go out there. And he said there's always this part of the corridors, like when you're going into that room type of thing that he refers to. Um, there's a funny feeling around that, he said, and I don't know whether it's because that's where they stop the trolley with the body on it, or the gurney, or whatever they call it. Um, and there might be spirit energy that's staying there or something like that. He said, I don't know, but it's a funny sensation. So that was volunteered to me, and I never instigated asking him, what you do for work or anything like that. Uh, so that's how I've always been. And even with spirit, um, it never occurred to me in all the years of communicating with them to ask them questions about, what's it like, for you when you're leaving this world, because I never thought about it. I never genuinely thought about it, because in my opinion, in seeing these souls, they are alive. So why would you be talking about death when you're seeing a live spirit? Do you know what I mean? So this is where it absolutely overwhelms me to think that there's no rush, there's no competition in being the first to contact Hugh Hefner. There's no competition in being the first to contact a person who has just died. In fact, what would have spoke volume for Huff, because he is, and can be a leader in the field, if he really wanted to, if he really cared about putting out a good message, he would have thought, all these people asking me to contact him, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Um, and even with, Kendra, I'm surprised there was nothing up on her page about, Hugh Hefner, but give it time. You know, she can't go too long without it. But honestly, he should have said, if he's got all those people telling him, can you make contact with him? I would have said, do you know him? Do you know Hugh Hefner personally? Um, why would you want to contact someone you don't even know? Are you really? I mean, you couldn't give a damn about the man when he was alive, and yet now you're interested in knowing how he is? Um, what about whether he was suffering in this life, whether he was in pain, whether he had, um, health problems, that type of thing? You don't talk about that kind of stuff, and you don't want to know about it because it is their business. And yet it's like it's when a person takes their last breath and it's suddenly on the news or whatever. um, he's got to do that. He's got to go out of his way to break in and interfere with that crossing process. Now, everyone might say, okay, because spirit has no real, there's no time, there's no essence of time with spirit. Um, a lot of times they've told me there is no night and there's no day. It's in between. It's always in between. Things like that. Uh, you just, I don't know. If a person is, think of it this way: if a spirit has just left its body and they then have this realization, and I don't want to get emotional. Um, they've had this realization that, oh, I'm no longer in my body. I'm looking at my body. I can see my body lying there. Or, and imagine if they took their life by shooting themselves, and or they hung themselves, and they're seeing the way their body is appearing. It wouldn't be a pretty sight for them. So they've got to overcome that shock, that trauma of seeing themselves in a way that they would never had envisioned themselves looking. There's a lot of females who apparently are known, and spirit have actually told me, well, I did my hair and everything before I blew my brains out. And these are females. I did my hair and my makeup, and then I put the gun in my mouth and took the back of my head out. And I saw it, and I didn't look pretty. What did you expect? Did you think that it was just going to be a clean, um, things like that? And then you've got a person who feels like they've got it all. They've got it all in this life. Like, look at Hefner. He had it all. He had women. And even for his age, he had looks. Let's be honest. The guy had looks. Even as a 90-something-year-old man, he was not bad looking. You've got to be honest. Chris just said, beg your pardon. Yeah, you've got to be honest though. This man had money, he had wealth, he could have anything he wanted. And now he's just like everyone else on the other side. And this is how spirit is. You don't have any no one's better than the other in the spirit realm. Oh yes, except you. You know who that is. Mr. Chris interfering. Do you want to come and talk? Well, then be quiet. So anyway, no one is better than the other. When we go on the other side, they're saying hello to you. He's saying hello. He's blowing kisses. That's enough. No, I'm not. I don't know whether you can hear him, but he's being cheeky here at the moment. He's saying, are you getting jealous? I mean, serious? Anyway, where was I? So nobody, that's right, nobody on the other side has anything more than the next person. So that's a good thing. But I guess when you think about it, when you're in spirit and money isn't important and stuff like that, it's too quiet, is it? Have I got it down too low? I'll see if you can hear him. Do you want to say hello? Did you hear him? I don't know whether you can hear him. I'll just wait a second and see if he says anything. Did you hear him then? No one wants to hear me. Oh, poor Chris. All right. So, yeah, going back to that, money is irrelevant in the afterlife. And one good thing is you can actually, from what they tell me, if you've never traveled in your life, don't worry. When you cross over, you can go anywhere you want. So you just have to think of a place and you're there. So there you go. But yep, getting back to Hugh Hefner, this man obviously, now it's too loud. That last time was loud. Am I loud, or are you talking about Chris? Oh, he mumbles too. You'll sometimes hear him mumbling in the background. But yeah, you don't know what the scenario was with Hugh Hefner. Oh, okay. Matt said, I think she meant Chris. Well, speaking of just on the note of order, he hasn't come back. Let's do another invite to see. He's probably said he had to go and I didn't hear it. I don't know. Did anyone hear him say he had to go? Did you hear him? Let's turn that on. All right. So, yeah. What was I going to say? So in relation to contacting a spirit or a person who just died, it's just wrong. Just be respectful. Respect the afterlife, because someday we're going to be there ourselves. And imagine if, you know, oh, this is another thing. Huff said on the occasion of, it didn't have to go. I wonder where he is. I actually sent off another invite. So if you're there, Order, come back. Come back. Anyway, if you... God, I'm losing track of what I was saying. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Huff made a comment about... What was it? Oh, yes. What is so wrong with contacting a celebrity and, you know, when there are people asking, can you contact my loved one? But, you know, what's the difference? And I actually put up a comment on his page saying, well, the difference is that it's not that celebrities' loved ones asking you to contact their loved one who's just left this world. This is people who are not even related to this person. So that's the difference. These are total strangers. There is nothing intellectual that it's being asked. And these videos of Huff's are not led by him, but led by the comments coming through. It's like, you know, the old thing of, oh, they might say tree, and he'll say, yes, there is a tree outside my window. Right here where I'm talking to you, there's a tree. When he asked about what he was doing or something, or whether he was wearing his robes or something like that, there was a mention of, I'm wearing my hot hair or hot... There was, but whatever it was, I just know, I don't even think it was that. I think he asked that afterwards, but don't quote me. You have to watch the video anyway. I'm sure Huff will love that, getting all these views. But watch the video. Leave a comment. Make an effort to leave a comment at how it's not right. Maybe we can, you know, through everybody stating that it's not right to contact a spirit, especially a celebrity, within 24 to 48 hours, because they're going to be everywhere. Sometimes hot hair means that your hair's a mess, you know. That's what we refer as hot hair, usually a hot mess type of thing. But I don't know. I just feel that Huff being in his own home, if he was in the middle of the desert and he had tried to contact a spirit and he got that connection coming through, then who's to say that, you know, where he is at the moment, he's right next to neighbours. The home is, you know, backsides and everything like that. You've got neighbours around you and you're trying to contact someone who just passed. And who's to say the neighbours aren't listening to an episode of that at the time? But I have never seen Huff try to really reach a person who has just passed, who happens to not be a celebrity. I've never known him to do that. The Robin Williams thing, pretty disgusting, I agree. And he always brings it up, that he was the first to contact Robin Williams. What is it with that? You know, why is he so... He gloats about it. But when you've got audio, you know, a plethora of videos out there with Robin Williams talking in it and him running it through a, you know, a speaker, and that's all the thing is. The what's it called? The... oh God, I can't even remember the names of them. But that gold box or wonder box and stuff like that, it's only a guitar speaker. It's an amp, an amplifier. That's what it does. It amplifies. And he smashed the gold box. I mean, wouldn't it have been more like common sense to smash the app or the device running to the actual speaker? You can't... what's the speaker got to do, if anything? It's the app behind it that is making the voices. Johnny Cash was absolutely disgusting because he basically said, he did say that he saved Johnny Cash from hell. He must really think himself to be like some kind of antichrist or holier than thou type of person. You know, I'm not anything special. I'm just a normal person. I don't say that, you know, I'm equivalent to God, or I can bring people out of hell and put them up in heaven or anything like that. And I don't call or refer to myself as a saint in any way. I'm just normal. I'm a normal person. The thing is, though, with him saying that Johnny Cash was in hell, that's absolutely disgusting in more ways than one. I mean, this guy really, he's unhinged. And this business about, you know, everything is love and light and whatever, if he really was all love and light, do you really think he would have spirits trying to kill him? You know, he's trying to make himself out to be holier than thou, that they're trying to kill him. Even Jesus was not attacked by demons. He was attacked by man. It was man that was trying to kill Jesus, you know. And yes, the devil was angry, but, you know, this business about him saving, I don't know. I can't deal with it. But yes, everyone should know by now that those guitar pedals are very popular. He was just running apps through them and it was amplifying the sound. So people got duped, you know. How anyone could fall for it is beyond me. And there are thousands of people. There are lots of people out there, even people with, you know, brains, who are using guitar amps as their speaker. I have always used this, and this is actually a Radio Shack speaker, nothing fancy. It just takes a 9-volt battery. Or I have used this. an Altec. And these, however, you can't adjust the volume on them. You can only adjust it by whatever you're using. But, you know, that's it. That's all you need. Even with these things, one thing I like about these, if you want to do white noise, you can have this as a standalone speaker. So you can just turn it on. And if I put that near there, I don't know whether you can hear it. Might be very, very light. Can you hear that? Oh, you had a power cut. So can you hear that white noise? Slightly? Okay. Well, you could actually probably plug that into something else. Like, for example, let me give you... okay, so we can run... We can get one of these cords where you've got like the male ends, they call them, and run that. Oh, actually, you don't need to. If you run this speaker, the Altec, into the side of, where is that? Into the side of that. Let's see what we can have happen. So this, okay, there we go. That's the Altec connected to this. So it's a little bit more. Can you hear it? Can you hear the white noise? Anyone? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear the white noise? I'm not getting anything in it. You can't hear it. All right. Now? Okay, well, white noise is, if anything, that would be more like a brown noise rather than a white noise. But these speakers, these standalone speakers, can actually allow you to hear spirit voices. And it doesn't have to be raised to the max. You can even have, you know, white noise and so on that you can get off the internet. But the thing is, with the internet, there may be some signals that actually go through your computer. As I mentioned, I've gone near my computer with a microphone and picked up radio sound, even though there might be nothing that is coming through, you know, at the time, like nothing that I've got running per se. So with this, let me just try something here. What's that? I'm going to try something. It's a little experiment. Okay. Let's turn this on. Now I'm just going to use this. Now you can hear that. So there's a bit of a, like a 5-second delay. So there's a bit of a, like a 5-second delay. So there's a bit of a, like a 5-second delay. It's a bit of a feedback there. I'm just going to turn that off for a second. What I'm going to do as an experiment, I'm going to, because of the feedback and everything like that, I'm going to, because I've got a recorder here, and the recorder I'm using is the real-time e.v.p recorder. If you've seen those, they retail for, you know, depending on where you are, they can be anything up to $400, especially if you're buying from overseas. But depending, if you're overseas, they're probably like 300, 200, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is ask Spirit, namely Chris, or even Tracy, because Tracy's here tonight. She's been playing with the pets. I'm going to ask either of them. Oh, gosh, get an itchy nose. I'm going to put this over here so that it's away from me. Bear with me for a second. I'll just unplug that because I want to untangle the cord. You should always have the cords flush. It's when you've got a tangle in them, it can, well, I think I just like to have things. So external speaker, plug it in. Okay, so I'm going to put this over on the table so there's nothing. I'm going to ask Tracy or Chris if you can go near that and please communicate by saying hello or anything else. Okay. Gotta go, gotta pick up Mrs. Magnitude from work. I love the way he's really in character all the time. What's this? Yeah, but to all uninformed followers, here's Jesus, love and light. Oh, okay. They don't know about all the times he has stitched people with camera lenses and, okay. I won't say that last bit. And if you haven't seen the latest video on Order of Magnitude where he shrunk me, God, that's funny. All right, so Chris or Tracy, can you please go near that recorder over there and talk into it so we can hear your voice? I haven't got it plugged in. All right, hang on. Where is it? Oh, my God. Yes, here we go. Can you talk into the recorder, please? Just reading some of the comments there. Is that recording? Let's see. Okay. Why isn't that? Must be that one. No, wrong one. Plug it back in. Because I can't even hear the feedback. Testing 1, 2. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. 1 minute. Let me try that again. All right. Is it that one? What the hell? I see. Now we try. Where is it? Come on. All right. So I'll put that over there. Sorry, I had the wrong one. All right. So here we go. If you can talk into that recorder and say hello, I'd really appreciate it so we can actually hear your voice. Really appreciate it so we can actually hear your voice. So we can actually hear your voice. Recording over there, so hopefully you can hear them. Chris. It won't be a moment, Avalon. It won't be a moment, Avalon. I'm going to turn it down a bit. I'll just turn it off for a second. Okay, Chris, if you can talk into that. If you want to. No one's forcing you. Just as an experiment. Anyway, I don't know what You're referring to which app you're referring to, Avalon? Which app would that be? Okay, well, see, this is the thing too. A lot of people forget that it's not up to them. It's up to spirit if they want to communicate. When I do my reviews, the reason that I usually do have very good success with them is because of the fact that I will only do them if my resident spirits are around and if they're willing to cooperate. If they're not willing to cooperate, I won't do it. I won't do a spirit box. Like I've asked in the past, I've asked Chris if he'd be willing to help me do a spirit box review, and he'd say not this week. So I can't do it that week with him. When he says, yeah, okay, I'll do it, then the reason that I intentionally wait until they're ready is it gives me a better understanding, and it helps other people know whether it really is an app that works. Because if I've got spirits around me who I know are literally trying to use that app, then there's more validity that then any spirit can use it if they want to. But sometimes they're not always willing to cooperate. You've got to be patient. If you're too eager or you get frustrated with them, then they're not going to want to talk to you because they're going to find you're quite aggressive, that type of thing. If you are being rude to spirit in order to get a response, then just be aware that after a while you might not want, you might not have any that want to talk to you. A lot of people, and that's exactly right, Catherine. It goes on spurts, meaning that there are times where they will want to talk to you and there are times when they won't. Just like sometimes you're in the mood to pick up the phone and talk to someone, you might not be in the mood, so you might not even answer the phone. And that's how spirit are, if you want to use it as that kind of example. But they are there, they do work. And with my reviews, they're all from beginning to end. You actually have the whole review, not like, the best pieces, that type of thing. It is a full recording from beginning to end. I don't jump cut. I won't sort of, say this is one bit and then here's another bit type of thing, or cherry pick the best pieces of it. It is from beginning to end. But I will only ever do, that's okay. Well, that all I'm saying is, as an example, I will only ever do a review if my spirits who are around me are willing to cooperate. That way I know that if they are genuinely trying and they can use it, then chances are other people, will be able to have an opportunity. If they've got spirits around them wanting to communicate, they will have the same opportunity of success as well, because I know that if mine can use it, anyone can use it. But there are some who don't want to communicate, and that's a fact. I've been to people's homes, like before when I used to go to people's homes to do readings, I naturally walk in. If I see someone, I say, oh, hello, how are you? Just being polite. And when I walked into one lady's house, there was this guy leaning against the wall with one foot up against the wall and had his arms folded. And I naturally just nodded and said, how are you? And he just flew off the, shut up, don't say anything. Don't tell him I'm here, And I thought, oh, God, I was just being polite. I was just acknowledging. But I said hello to everyone in the room, not just him. And he was a spirit, if I'm in the middle of a reading and I see a spirit walk in, I will say hello. I'll acknowledge them. I won't be rude to them or anything like that. It's just habit. I've always acknowledged them. Even if they're not there for that person, I'll still acknowledge whoever walks into my room. So this guy did not want the woman knowing he was there. He didn't want to talk. He thought he said to me straight out, I thought you were like the others. And I said, oh, so, and I said to her, so you've had other people coming out doing readings? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, you're supposed to have at least a gap of 3 to 6 months. And he said, well, she only had someone out here on the weekend. And I said, okay, so you had someone out recently, like on the weekend? And she said, yeah. And then she says to me, oh, gee, you're good, you know, to know that. And I said, well, I don't know it. I'm just being told that. And then she said, who told you? And I said, well, the guy. And I said, look, I'm sorry, she already knows I'm talking to you. And he just rolled his eyes and he stomped out of the room, just walked out. And I told her that, you know, what he was wearing, that type of thing. She said, oh my God, that's who I want to hear from. It's my husband. And he walked in, he said, I hope you're satisfied now. Now she won't leave it alone. And I just want her to, you know, get on with life, you know, instead of trying to get me to talk to her and whatever. And he said, just tell her that I want her to get on with her life and stop trying to, you know, get me to talk to these people I don't know. So that's just one example of some spirits' attitudes. There are some who, you know, I've had them say, I was asked to come and see you by so-and-so, but I don't know you, so I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to. And then they say, oh, okay, thanks. And then they'll go, you know, things like that. It's just they were asked to come and see me, but they don't want to talk to me. Fair enough. They then go, but they feel like they've done their part. They've done that obligation. They've been asked to come and see me for whatever reason. They've done it. There are times they don't want to communicate. But one thing, what I always say when you're trying to communicate, and for those that are sort of like caught off guard watching this after the live stream, there's a person in here by the name of Avalon Decker who said that they were using an app that I recommended, which was the Steve Holte app, the Spirit Box one, and they aren't getting any success out of it. But what's this? Okay, so they're saying they would like to know who it is that is there. Manny, it wouldn't scare me so much. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't scare me so much. I don't know what the message is. Doesn't make sense to me, sorry. But it's not even a case of training your ears, Sarah. I don't feel it's a case of training your ears, to be honest with you, because with apps and stuff like that, you always record them. And think of it as steps. You've got steps at the bottom and you've got steps in the middle and steps at the top. So if you think about steps, think of it as each voice can be at a certain step. So there will be undertones. There will be voices that are a lot lower or a lot fainter than the ones up on the top of the step, if that makes sense to you. And so they may be replying to you, but you're just not hearing that reply. And if you're trying to listen to them in real time without recording it to go back and review, then a lot of times you won't hear anything because of the fact you'll be listening to the ones on the top of the step, if that makes sense. So that's what I use as an example. If you've got one spirit who's down the bottom of the step and you're at the top of the step, which means the more audible part, and then you've got spirits talking to you on the same level as you are, being loud, then some won't make sense, and there will be some that do, but they may be not heard until you play back that actual recording. So when you play it back, you'll be able to listen at different levels of that audio. So don't discount it or shrug it off straight away, because you might have communication there, but you probably haven't heard it yet. And, you know, when it comes down to EVPs, that's when you'll need to train, listen for, or listen out for certain things, because with EVPs, it's a very unique sound. It's, if you think about, okay, there is no TV going, there is no radio going, there's no one outside, there's no one walking past the window. You're in a room which is very, very quiet, generally, type of thing. You know your neighbours are out. That's another best time to do EVPs. If you're wanting to do EVPs, all you do is grab a recorder and start the recorder and ask for intelligent responses, because, and this is what I will do a lot of times, is I'll say, okay, if you want to talk into this, I will place this in this room, and I will walk out of the room, because there are some shy spirits. There are times where they're shy. They don't want to always, you know, talk with you there. At least the ones that I've come across at times. Not everyone, but there are some. And so anyway, I will walk out of the room and I'll leave the recorder on, and I will have certain questions that I will ask them, or I'll write them down. I might have a bit of paper or you know, a notepad, and I'll write down certain questions that I would like them to answer. So I always give them the respect that, okay, they might not want to talk to me, so it's up to them. It's up to them anyway if they want to talk. It's not up to us. You can't force them. You know, maybe they, you know, not the ones that want to talk. They may be ones that are around. If you are feeling spirit around you, maybe they just don't know how you would deal with them talking. Some are very conscious of their voice because they no longer have a larynx as we do. They're no longer a part of a situation of, you know, being able to open their mouth kind of thing. I mean, they can manifest in a physical form and they can have a mouth, but they don't have the insides. They don't have muscle like we have. They don't have the type of makeup of making our vocal cords and stuff like that. They remember often, and this is how Chris says he speaks, he remembers how he used to speak. And so all he has to do is think back to his voice, and that's how he can communicate. So, and there's been times where I've seen Chris and his mouth isn't moving, but I'm hearing his voice, and I'm like, that's a bit weird. And he says, I'm good, aren't I? You know, he's very full of himself sometimes, but he is good because he's actually taught me a lot more about spirit. And yeah, the office spirit chat, that was Albert, and he was trying to stop the recording, trying to turn off the, I think I had the Connect going or something like that, and there was even like getting the light turning on and, you know, stuff like that. So they are, you know, if they want to interact, they will, but it's really important to always respect the afterlife, because you just don't know who you've got. Hello. You don't know who you've got that is around you. It could be a loved one who doesn't want the rest of the family knowing that they're there, because it might upset somebody, especially if you go saying, oh, I heard from Uncle so-and-so. I had a case, when was it? I think I mentioned about, that's right, last week I mentioned about an uncle who I saw as a child who visited me, and I said, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm here to take someone home. And I let my aunties know, and then my auntie messaged me to say that she thinks she knows who it was, because her son had, at first she had messaged saying that she was thinking of Roddy, which is my Uncle Bill's son, who she said has cancer. And she thought, oh, is it him? But then the day after, she messaged me to say that her son's wife had miscarried. And she had had to go through the process of giving birth, because they couldn't find the heartbeat and stuff like that. So, I mean, the timing was just incredible. But he was not upset. Basically, he was smiling when he said, "I'm here to take someone home," because see, with spirit, it's not a sad event. For those that have been over longer, they realize that it's not a sad event. It's actually a happy occasion to be on the other side, because there's no more stress. A lot of man-made stress is around us daily, and a lot of things that we eat and, things that we go through are all because of man. Like, people wouldn't have half the cancer that they have had it not been for some of the chemicals they're putting in things. So all that is irrelevant on the other side. It's like the most purest form of living, from what spirits say. That, yeah, well, there's a lot that have been conditioned to fear death, especially those in the Catholic, or that type of thing, fearing God. Are we going to end up in hell? I mean, if anyone's going to be scared, it should be me, thinking, people say that mediums should not contact the dead. But when you think about it, they're contacting me. And other people who are mediums are often being contacted by, it's not us going out of our way, or we shouldn't anyway be going out of our way to make contact with those, who have just passed over, because it is not what you do. But if spirit come to you, there's not much you can do about that, can you? They are there to see you for a reason, whether it's because their loved one is going to be seeing you or speaking with you. I've got that case where the only occasion I can think of, where I drew that guy wearing the glasses that time, and he appeared to me. So I drew him, and he was, it was absolutely, he was happy. He wasn't sad or angry or anything like that. And this was in June. 6 months later, and I think it was 2015 by memory, 6 months later, there was a lady who apparently visited our Facebook page. Prior to that, she had never been on our page, and she came across the drawing of the man, and she wrote to the staff saying, "Oh my God, I think that's my father." And the uncanny thing about it is, the day that I drew it was the day after he passed away. So not 24 hours, but the day after. He visited me, I drew him, and then she shared photos to the page of her father, and comparing them next to each other, I thought, that's him. It is him. That's the guy that I saw, but he was actually appearing a lot younger. So, I mean, he was almost my age. I think they said he was 56 or 55 or something like that. And, but he wasn't even looking that age. So what's this? Okay, where? I'm trying to sort of watch here. Yeah, most people have been conditioned to fear death because of the fact that they're worried about going to hell, and what's going to happen, what's going to be the result of our passing. Like, how are we going to
die is probably the only thing we should really fear, if anything. Not a case of fearing death itself. Death is beautiful, apparently. I've had ones that have said, let the party begin. And I get a giggle out of some of them because they're just so relaxed. They're calm. But then we've got ones who are angry, especially those that have taken so much to bring themselves to take their life, and they're frustrated because they feel cheated in the fact that here they were thinking that the only way out to escape any type of life whatsoever was to take their life. So they go out of their way, they plan it, sometimes for hours they're contemplating this, and they then do it and they succeed. But all they're succeeding in doing is killing off the body that's here. The spirit you can't kill. No matter how much you try, you cannot squash it, you cannot blow it up, you cannot shoot it, anything like that. Spirit is something that is energy, and you can't stop energy. You've got it around you. Even like when you walk outside or sit down, you will feel the wind blowing around you. You can't see the wind, but you can feel it blowing around you. That's energy. It's a type of energy. Water can generate electricity. It's energy. You break down things with fire. It's made of energy, and it disperses that energy. So I hope you've learnt something tonight. But before I go, I am going to say that if you have ever come across a person who is asking you to contact someone who has just passed over, please tell them, wait. Give the spirit at least 3 months to settle, so that it can accustom itself to its new lifestyle. And hopefully you'll be giving that spirit some peace and the ability to settle down a lot more, and yeah, just peace. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that tonight. I hope that what I was able to bring you in relation to the guardian angels and so on was helpful for those who were wanting to know how it feels and what to look out for. But generally they're around you a lot more than you imagine. And just, if you can even just quieten your mind, just put everything out of your mind and not think about anything, but just before you do that, just ask them, you know, if you're with me, can you let me hear something? Don't tell them what you want to hear. Just say, let me hear something that allows me to recognize you or identify you. And then listen. It could be, I mean, nothing like normal like that you would hear, like a car going by or anything like that. I sometimes will say, Chris, can you knock? You know, just to let me know that you're around, instead of just like coming up and in my face, hi, Karen. So he will knock. Sometimes I'll hear him like knocking all over the walls, that type of thing, as a way of letting me know that he's around. A few nights ago, my daughter wanted to watch The Babadook. I don't know whether anyone's watched that. Tomorrow we're going, just to sort of like a little discussion, we're going out to see that movie Victoria and Abdul. Can't wait. So if anyone's seen it, don't tell me anything about it. I'm really looking forward to it. But I thank you for joining me in this live stream. And if you haven't seen that movie, The Babadook, have a watch. That was pretty good, actually. I liked it. But I'm glad that you enjoyed the live stream. Thank you so much. And to everyone who has stuck by, don't forget that next Friday, only 1 week away, I'll be going out to a haunted hotel. I've had the confirmation sent through email. So excited. And I will be on my own in this haunted hotel room. And I'm really looking forward to their resident spirit making contact with me. There is supposed to be 2 by memory, a female and a male. And so I'm going to do the live stream first with Riley. And then after that, I will be running a live stream, not so much doing a lot of talking through it, because I'm going to leave it going pretty much all night. And that will be the one from the haunted hotel room. So there'll be a separate one with Riley. And then after that, I'm going to just turn on the live stream and let it run. I'm going to also take the Connect with me and ask if there's a spirit present, if they would like to, you know, step in front of the beam or whatever. Maybe we can get him or her on the live stream showing up. And of course, I'll also be taking, what was I going to take? Oh, might take the spirit box, but I don't want it to all be spirit box, to be honest with you. I don't want it to be artificial noise or sound. I just want it to be what is going to come through. And hopefully I won't snore when I fall asleep. But the good thing is I can get there early, and our wrist recorders, I've got the wrist recorder, but I'm not going to wear it. And I'll tell you why, because basically if you're walking and you've got a rustling of your clothes or anything like that, that can be like, you know, false positive. So with wrist recorders, although they're great, I always recommend put them down and just allow that to record without anything around it touching it. Otherwise, you're going to get, you know, the false positives. That's like when you're recording something anyway with e.v.p, always put the recorder down. Don't hold it. You know, you can touch it, but don't hold it, because you can easily have false things come through. That's why I don't, you know, when people are holding the recorders like those DR60s or whatever they're called, or any other recorder, and they've got this like scratchy kind of sound coming through it, often it's because their hands are, you know, jiggling around on the thing, or there's, you know, they're rubbing the back of it with their finger. If they're recording and they put the recorder down and then they've got that, then you could say, well, yeah, that's probably spirit touching it, and so on. Yeah, I could take the light. I don't think I'll be taking a candle though. That's the thing, because in the hotel room, you don't want any like smoke detectors going off if you blow out the candle, because then you got that smoke that, you know, but I'm really excited. I actually rang them up and I said, I'm so excited. I'm looking so forward to being in that hotel room. And the woman said, oh, really? So, yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a great night. And I think I needed a night out anyway. That's my night out in a haunted hotel room. But I'm planning on doing another at some stage later on, and probably going to some place which is supposed to be like, God, how far it goes back to the early 1800s, I think. It might be Monte Cristo, or it might be something else, but I really don't know yet. I'm sort of like tossing it up, see how I go. But I mean, you've got to organise for, you know, the other half to be around watching his daughter and so on. And yeah, but I'm glad that you liked the stream tonight, and thank you so much for joining. So don't forget, go onto the page and make sure, like on the channel, I should say, make sure you've subscribed, hit that bell as well, so that way you're getting the notification of that live stream for next week. It's going to be a hoot. I'm glad that I'm going. I'm really looking forward to it, and I might take my my spirit ears, which is a device I've got, you know, that I use as well. That way, if they talk into the left or the right side, you'll be able to hear what side they're coming through. But with the Connect, it also has a built-in microphone. I might have that so that it shows the Connect. Hopefully, I might have to experiment before making sure that I've got that displaying on the screen, because remember when that computer thing happened and everything, you know, the programs, and I had to reinstall the Windows and everything on this computer, not the actual server itself, but this computer, I had to go through and restore everything. But I just want to make sure that that's working. I'd hate to get in there and not have anything to hook up or show. And I hope that Google Hangouts will actually allow me to show that screen so we can have that running through the live stream. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, through the week, I'm going to, you know, have a look and see that we can get that working so that I'm all ready, because I really do think the Connect will be wonderful. I'm going to put a note down also and ask the spirit to do certain things if they would be willing to let others know that they're there. And if they do that, and I'll show everybody the note on the day, if they're willing to do that, then you'll be able to see this is real. This is really a haunted hotel. But apparently it is one of 10 in the world that's said to be haunted. So that's good. Looking forward to it. So anyway, have a great night, a wonderful weekend. I'm going to the movies tomorrow with my daughter, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm not going to tell you what it's all about, but from the previews, it looks bloody lovely. So I hope you've enjoyed tonight, and thank you. If you've got any ideas about what we can talk of in the coming weeks, let me know. This actually was an idea suggested by Springtrap-trap, who suggested to do this particular topic tonight. So she did well, considering she's only a young girl, a young woman, I should say. So she did a really good, you know, that was a great idea. So if you've got an idea for a live stream, let me know, and I'll try to include that either in next week's show or the one after. But probably next week I'll be talking about the hotel room and, you know, that type of thing. So anyway, take care. Thank you for joining. Sorry your power cut out, Order, but I'm glad that it's on again. And love to the family and the little one especially. Take care. Bye.